Welcome, listeners, to another chilling episode of Stories Philippines podcast. I'm your host, Alex, and today we delve deep into the heart of Filipino folklore and the supernatural with a story sent by one of our brave listeners. This tale, set in the picturesque yet eerie locale of Malabon, intertwines ancient beliefs with modern-day experiences, leaving you questioning the boundaries between reality and the unseen. Before we begin, let's ponder a few questions. Have you ever felt an unseen presence watching you? A chill down your spine for no apparent reason? Perhaps you've heard a sound you couldn't explain, a whisper in the dead of night. Or maybe you've had a dream so vivid, it felt more real than reality itself. Tonight's story will resonate with those lingering questions, those moments that make you wonder if there's more to our world than meets the eye. Please note, to respect the privacy of those involved, the names and specific details have been changed. However, the essence of their experiences, the raw fear, and the lingering mystery remain untouched. Our story begins on a typical quiet night in Malabon, a place steeped in history and tradition. Maria, a young girl of about 12, was walking home from her evening class. The path she took was a narrow, dimly lit road, a shortcut that wound its way through the outskirts of town. The crickets chirped their nightly symphony, and the occasional rustling of leaves added to the atmosphere. It was one of those paths that seemed to stretch endlessly, with only a few flickering streetlights offering pools of illumination in the vast darkness. As Maria walked, a chill ran down her spine, a feeling that she was being watched. She quickened her pace, her heart pounding in her chest. Suddenly she heard it, a faint cry, soft at first, then growing louder, more desperate. It was the unmistakable cry of a baby, echoing through the stillness of the night. Who would leave a baby out here in the dark? Maria wondered, her curiosity battling with the fear that was quickly consuming her. She hesitated, torn between the urge to help and the primal fear that whispered warnings in her ear. This scenario, listeners, taps into one of our most instinctual fears, the cry of a helpless baby. It's a sound designed to trigger an immediate response, to pull at our heartstrings and compel us to act. In many cultures, including Filipino folklore, the cry of a baby in the night can be an ominous sign, often associated with supernatural beings using the sound to lure unsuspecting victims. The sound grew louder, more insistent. Maria, her heart pounding in her chest, decided to follow the cries. She hoped to find the baby, to offer help before any harm could come to it. The cries led her deeper into the shadows, away from the relative safety of the road and into the heart of the unknown. Maria's mother, Linda, had always warned her about the dangers of the night. The shadows are no friends of ours, she would say, brandishing a clove of garlic, its pungent aroma filling the air. In Filipino culture, garlic is believed to ward off evil spirits, a belief rooted in centuries of folklore and tradition. Linda, a firm believer in these traditions, never let Maria leave the house without a clove of garlic in her pocket, a small but potent shield against the unseen forces that lurked in the darkness. The use of garlic as protection against evil is not unique to Filipino culture. It has been used historically in various cultures across the globe, from Europe to Asia. Its strong odor was believed to repel not only physical threats like vampires, as depicted in Bram Stoker's Dracula, but also malicious entities that roam the spirit world. This widespread belief highlights the universal human need for protection against the unknown, the things that go bump in the night. As Maria ventured further into the darkness, the cries suddenly stopped. The silence was deafening, the sudden absence of the baby's cries more unsettling than the sound itself. She turned to retrace her steps, to find her way back to the road, but she realized with a growing sense of dread that she was lost. Panic set in, and she frantically rummaged through her pocket, her fingers closing around the smooth, familiar shape of the garlic her mother had given her. Clutching it tightly, she whispered a silent prayer, her breath catching in her throat. To her horror, a figure emerged from the shadows. It was a spectral woman, her form shimmering in the darkness. Her face was gaunt, her eyes hollow, seeming to pierce into Maria's very soul. The ghostly figure floated closer, her presence chilling the air around her. Maria's encounter here is reminiscent of the White Lady, a common figure in Filipino folklore. Often depicted as a vengeful spirit dressed in white, she is said to appear to those who stray into her domain, especially at night. Stories of the White Lady exist in various cultures, each with its own unique twist. In Latin America, there's La Llorona, a weeping woman who drowned her children and now wanders searching for them. In Irish mythology, the banshee wails to herald an impending death. These figures, though different in their origins, share a common thread: they are harbingers of sorrow and misfortune. "Stay back," Maria shouted, her voice trembling but filled with a newfound courage. She held the garlic high, her arms shaking. The ghost paused, its face contorted in a mix of anger and anguish. Maria's heart raced as she slowly backed away, her eyes darting around, trying to remember the path she had taken. The ghost let out a wail that echoed through the night, a sound that sent shivers down Maria's spine. Summoning every ounce of courage, she turned and ran as fast as she could, her feet pounding on the uneven ground. The ghost's cries pursued her, growing fainter with each step. Finally, Maria saw the dim glow of a streetlight in the distance. She burst into the open road, the familiar sight filling her with relief. She didn't stop running until she reached the safety of her home, her lungs burning, her legs aching. Breathless and trembling, she recounted her ordeal to her mother, who listened with a grave expression. Linda hugged Maria tightly. "You did well, Anak," she said, her voice soothing. "The spirit you encountered is known as the White Lady, a restless soul searching for her lost child. She preys on the vulnerable, but you were strong. You remembered what I taught you." Years passed and Maria grew up, but the memory of that night never faded. The family moved to a new home in Malabon, a quaint old house with a peculiar staircase. From the first day, Maria felt uneasy on those stairs. It was as if the shadows had a life of their own, stretching and twisting in the dim light. One night, while descending the stairs, Maria saw a shadowy figure at the bottom. It was tall and indistinct, just a mass of darkness that seemed to pulsate with malevolence. She froze, her heart pounding in her chest, the blood draining from her face. The figure didn't move, but its presence was overwhelming, suffocating. Maria blinked, and the shadow was gone. She shook her head, trying to convince herself it was just her imagination, a trick of the light. But the figure returned, appearing sporadically at the same spot, always watching, always waiting. This recurring shadow figure Maria sees is a phenomenon known in paranormal studies as a shadow person. These entities are often reported around the world, described as dark, featureless humanoid shapes that flicker at the edge of our vision. While some believe they are spirits or interdimensional beings, others attribute them to sleep paralysis or tricks of the mind. However, the sheer number of reports and the consistency of the descriptions make them a compelling subject for those interested in the paranormal. Maria couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong with the house. She decided to investigate its history and discovered that a previous owner, a young woman named Amara, had died tragically on those very stairs. Some said it was an accident, a fall in the darkness, but others whispered of foul play, of a life cut short by violence. Determined to find answers, Maria enlisted the help of her cousin, Juan, who was known to be sensitive to the supernatural. Together, they set up cameras and sensors around the house, hoping to capture any evidence of paranormal activity. One night, while reviewing the footage, Juan saw it, a shadow figure, just as Maria had described, standing at the bottom of the stairs. It was faint but unmistakable, a dark silhouette against the pale wall. The figure didn't move, just watched, its presence palpable even through the grainy footage. Juan felt a chill run down his spine. "There's definitely something here, Maria," he said. His voice hushed. "We need to find a way to help this spirit pass on." Linda, with her deep knowledge of Filipino folklore, suggested a ritual to cleanse the house and help the restless spirit find peace. They gathered salt, sage, and garlic, common items believed to have protective and purifying powers. With Juan leading the way, they began the ritual. Salt has been used for centuries in various cultures as a symbol of purity and protection. In Filipino traditions, it is often used in rituals to ward off evil spirits. Similarly, sage is burned in many cultures to purify spaces and banish negative energies, its fragrant smoke carrying prayers and intentions to the spirit world. They sprinkled salt around the house, the fine grains forming a protective barrier against unseen forces. The sage smoke curled and danced, filling the air with its cleansing aroma. Linda chanted prayers in a low, steady voice, calling on the spirits of their ancestors for protection and guidance. As they descended the stairs, the atmosphere grew heavy, the shadows seeming to lengthen and twist, as if aware of their presence. Maria held her breath, clutching a clove of garlic tightly in her hand. They reached the bottom of the stairs, the spot where the shadow figure had appeared time and time again. Linda placed her hand on Maria's shoulder, offering a reassuring squeeze. "Amara," Linda called out, her voice firm yet compassionate. "We know your story. We understand your pain. It's time for you to move on, to find peace." Before we continue into today's story, please follow Stories Philippines podcast and share it with your friends, family, and anyone who enjoys a good spine tingler. Our episodes are filled with suspense and excitement that will keep you enthralled. Sharing our podcast helps us grow and brings the joy of storytelling to a wider audience. Whether you're on a commute, at the gym, or unwinding at home, our stories are the perfect companion. Also, if you or someone you know has a fascinating story to share, we'd love to hear it. Your personal experiences and unique stories are what make our community special. Reach out to us via the links in the show notes. We can't wait to feature your story in a future episode. Thank you for being part of our storytelling adventure. Now, let's get back to the episode. The air grew colder, the shadows swirling around them like restless spirits. Maria felt a tear slide down her cheek, a sudden wave of sorrow washing over her. She felt a connection to Amara, a shared sense of pain and longing. The shadows seemed to pulse, then slowly began to dissipate, as if releasing their hold on the house, on the world. A soft whisper filled the air, barely audible, but Maria recognized it. A whispered thank you carrying the weight of years of sorrow and the lightness of newfound peace. The atmosphere lightened, the oppressive energy lifting like a fog. Maria and her family felt a sense of relief, as if a heavy burden had been lifted from their shoulders, from the very walls of their home. It's fascinating how many cultures have rituals and practices for communicating with and appeasing spirits. From the Dia de los Muertos in Mexico, where families gather to celebrate and remember their deceased loved ones, to the Qingming Festival in China, where ancestors are honored with offerings and visits to their graves. The belief in honoring and guiding the dead is a common thread that connects us all. These rituals offer comfort and closure, a way to bridge the gap between the living and the departed. From that day forward, the house felt different. The shadows no longer held their menacing presence, and the eerie feeling on the stairs was gone. Maria felt a deep sense of peace, knowing that they had helped a lost soul find her way to the other side. The experience strengthened their bond as a family, deepening their understanding and respect for the spiritual world. Maria continued to share her story, hoping to help others who might be facing similar experiences, to offer a beacon of hope in the face of the unknown. Years later, Maria received an email from a friend, Ella, who had moved into a new condo in Manila. Ella was unsettled by a photo she had taken in her new home. In the background, a faint figure could be seen, almost transparent, standing by the window. Ella, though skeptical of the supernatural, couldn't shake off the unease the photo caused. She asked for Maria's opinion, hoping for a rational explanation. Maria examined the photo closely and felt a familiar chill. The figure, though indistinct, seemed to carry the same oppressive energy she had experienced in her old home. Ella recounted strange occurrences in the condo, doors opening and closing on their own, cold spots in certain rooms, and the unsettling feeling of being watched. Remembering her own experiences, Maria advised Ella to perform a cleansing ritual to clear the energy of the space and find peace. It's worth noting that many historic places, including hotels and old buildings, have reports of similar ghostly sightings. For instance, the Manila Film Center, a building shrouded in tragedy, is said to be haunted by the spirits of workers who died during its construction. The tragedy, which occurred in the early 1980s, saw numerous construction workers buried alive in quick-drying cement. The incident, hushed up by the Marcos regime, left a dark stain on the building's history and fueled countless tales of hauntings and paranormal activity. Maria joined Ella at the condo, bringing along the same items her mother had used: salt, sage, and garlic. Together, they performed the ritual, sprinkling salt in every corner and burning sage, its fragrant smoke filling the space. They called on protective spirits, their voices echoing in the quiet condo. As they completed the ritual, Ella felt a shift in the atmosphere. A warmth spread through the condo, replacing the previous chill. The unsettling feeling lifted, replaced by a sense of calm. When they re-examined the photo, the figure was gone, vanished without a trace. Ella thanked Maria, relieved to have her home feel safe and welcoming again. Maria's experiences didn't end there. She began having vivid dreams involving water, a powerful symbol of deep emotions, transitions, and the subconscious. In these dreams, she often saw a young man, sometimes appearing as Jesus, guiding her through turbulent waters, his presence a source of comfort and strength. These dreams occurred during significant life changes, offering her guidance and reassurance. Maria realized that the young man represented her inner strength and resilience, helping her navigate through life's challenges. Water in dreams often symbolizes the flow of life and the depths of our emotions. In many dream interpretations, clear water represents clarity and calm, while murky water signifies confusion and uncertainty. Maria's recurring water dreams could be her mind's way of processing her emotional states, of finding peace and clarity amidst life's ups and downs. Listeners, as we come to the end of this chilling journey, let's reflect on the lessons learned. The stories we've shared today remind us of the thin veil between our world and the spiritual realm, the unseen forces that shape our lives in ways we may never fully understand. They teach us the importance of respecting traditions, the power of belief, and the strength we can find in our cultural heritage. They also highlight our innate need to make sense of the unknown, to seek comfort and understanding in the face of fear. Whether through rituals, dreams, or shared stories, we find ways to connect with something greater than ourselves, to find meaning in the mysteries that surround us. So, the next time you hear a whispered cry in the night, or see a shadow flicker at the edge of your vision, remember these tales. Embrace your curiosity, seek understanding, and know that you are not alone in your journey through the mysteries of life. We hope this deep dive into Filipino folklore and the supernatural has sparked your own curiosity and encouraged you to look a little deeper, question what lies beyond the surface, and maybe even explore those late-night whispers of your own subconscious. The most compelling mysteries are not always hiding in the shadows. Sometimes they are found in the space where our imaginations meet reality. If you have a story to share, we would love to hear it. Your experiences are what make this podcast vibrant and engaging. Please submit your stories to us for future episodes. You can find details on how to contribute in the show notes. To keep bringing you more fantastic episodes like this, we need your support. Check the links in the show notes to find out how you can support us financially. Whether it's through donations or subscribing to our premium content, every bit helps us continue creating these wonderful episodes for you. Thank you for joining us on Stories Philippines podcast. Until next time, stay curious, stay brave, and keep sharing your stories.